everyone, welcome to Death and the Dying World. I have another guest here joining me. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, I would. My name is EMMA OCHIA and I am an empowerment and mindset coach. I also am a musician, that's my background. So we're going to be here a long time talking about how I got here. And I run a business called Find Your Fierce, which is all about empowering people through their mind, through their body and through their soul.
Yeah, you probably seen me mention in my podcast a couple of times. Well, I think the person I was talking about, Emma. No, Emma helped me so much. I went to her event.
Yeah.
Where was that?
So it wasn't actually that long ago if you think about it. It was maybe October. Why can't I count months? September, my birthday was September. So maybe September, October, I was holding an event in the Corinthian in Glasgow, and it was a women empowerment event that I was taking them through 6 core elements. And we had spoken through email, and Cheryl had said, look, I'm profoundly deaf and I just want to check before I purchase this ticket. Will it be accessible? And I'm just going to be honest, is that cool? Basically, I was like, accessible? I thought I was accessible. I thought I was diverse. And then from that, it just started this spiral of me realising how inaccessible I was. And it's not about berating yourself. It was just about me becoming aware and acknowledging that ignorance. And I thought to myself, the more that she kind of asked me, is it accessible? I was thinking, what do you mean accessible? Like, I was thinking, what does she mean, accessible? And then I realised, oh my goodness, like, I genuinely, because even if you think about it, when you're presenting, you're doing it to the person who hears. You're not thinking about any other element. My animations, just because I'm very animated when I talk, it's not enough, because I've got music, I've got loads of people talking. There's different things that you need to incorporate to be accessible, truly accessible, because we love how it's a trend now. You know, as soon as one person talks about this thing, everybody gets defensive and they want to showcase that I am this and I am that and I'm diverse and I'm inclusive and I'm all this. But for me, I really wanted to take time to have a conversation with myself and be like, oh, wait a minute, you really need to give this person focus here, because we need to understand what it is that she requires. And also, what is it that's going to make Cheryl have the same, if not a better experience that everyone else is going to have, because I'm all about the experience. I feel like I spoke for a long time there, sorry.
No. That is why I brought you on, because I feel that Emma is the best person to tell you from her story. Because I keep talking about my story, but it's nice to see from somebody else's view about accessibility. And but what you're doing is absolutely amazing. That is why I'm listening to everything she's saying, and I'm inspired by you, because when I did the interview a couple of weeks ago, and I was watching the new masterclass the night before, when I did the interview, I was like, right, I have your voice, your power in my head, and I smashed that interview.
Yes.
That's why, because that video yesterday we were talking about the man in the email.
Yeah, the one I sent.
I was watching it, I was wow. And it's so true, it's so new.
Is it the one about Busy Trap, or is it what one the week before?
No, it's the one,
what was it
about? It was a man sitting on a couch and there was an audience.
Yep, so he's talking about the psychological side of being stuck in a busy trap and the ego. So one of the main things, I'll share one of your realizations, because we're jumping in the story, but basically Cheryl then became a client and she joined the Fierce Tribe programme, which is a group programme where I take you through the 6 core elements over the course of 12 months, and you've got a full module and everything. And basically I had to rip down that full programme and then basically caption it all. But captioning isn't exactly straightforward, which isn't an excuse not to do it, but it's just, You need to understand a way to process it to make it very effective to your time, and to make sure that you're getting 100% or as close to 100% captions as possible, because there's no point in you just clicking something that says captions and then it's all gobbledygook, because it's still not okay, because you've not put any time into actually what am I trying to say, correcting the words. So it's very time consuming.
Yeah, and what Emma would do now, Emma is using open caption, which means she's 100% making sure her caption is accurate. Whereas like there's a press the button, that is no open caption, that's closed caption, and it doesn't always give you an accurate result. And sometimes it can be offensive. Like for example, I say the most common word to me say death, they put death.
That stuck out to me when you said it. So it's like something that's imprinted in my brain to look out for is if it says death, I'll make sure it doesn't say death. Like, because I totally get what you mean. Because that's like the connotations to that is like, it's not even like we're laughing because it's just like
I know.
when you. I guess like we're laughing, right? Because now Cheryl, I guess, feels she's got an ally, and I'm just like, I mean, I would message her going, "What the absolute? Can you swear on this? What the absolute F?" I'll just not swear in case, right? What the hell? Because I'd be like, I'm about to jump off a cliff. This is exhausting. Every time, like, I would be like, are you serious? I would come up against a new one. And then the newest stress is Zoom, because if I'm doing a masterclass live, this is something that's really frustrating me now. We've spent months fixing and restructuring the brand to be truly 100% accessible, which I'm super proud of. Thanks to this gal for being a disruptor and, you know, making loud noise about this issue, that I could then see that was lacking in my business. But when you do a live anything that's live, it's just so unsupported. Like if I'm doing a masterclass, we're having to deal with the worst closed captions. It doesn't even make sense, because obviously it's trying to convert it in real time. So you can use companies like, not Veed, what's the other one? I use Veed for editing, but there was another one that's at Rev that apparently you can maybe, but yeah, it's just, I mean, we're spiraling here, but basically it's brought up a lot of struggles that, you know, people who are profoundly deaf are up against, and we've just been like, oh well, you just need to deal with it. We might not say that, but our lack of wanting to do anything about it basically tells them, well, it's just not really that important to me right now. And unfortunately, as soon as that became highlighted to me, I was actually affronted. And see, because Cheryl has mentioned me a lot, I think a lot of people who have maybe been following you have then messaged me and said, how are you doing this? So I think it's like a really good, because although I don't mind explaining, like messaging someone back and saying, oh, I use Veed, but it's not as simple as that. And also you need to do your own research. So I shouldn't really need to be spending loads of time explaining to someone and doing the work for you. You need to do it for your own business, and you need to do it for your own self.
And sometimes every business is different. So what Emma do might not work for your business. You know, and what Emma do might work for me, because obviously the captain doesn't understand me at all. So I manually captain mine, where Emma got a tool that works for her. So everybody's different. So you're right, do your own research.
So what I would say is, as a bit of advice, is because Cheryl knew she was like, just stop being so stressed about it. You've done so much already. And I was like, but it's not enough. Like, thank you for thanking me, but you shouldn't need to thank me. I was like, we can't stop here. It's frustrating me that when you're on a live masterclass, you're not getting the same experience. So what I've done in the interim, while we're trying to sort it with Zoom and like Facebook and Instagram Meta,
So many.
is that when Cheryl's on my masterclasses, our sisters, the Fierce Tribe sisters, all the other women know that Cheryl is profoundly deaf, because I've taken the time to explain it. They've taken the time to get to know her. They've even altered how they're showing up in the group to make sure that that Cheryl is able to sometimes see a video that's recorded and straight away it's captioned, and it's captioned quite well, that one. So if it's a recorded video, so we're kind of switching it up. So if someone goes live, Cheryl now feels safe enough to be like, it's okay. She even goes live now because she knows that it's safe and we'll all take her time. If we're on a masterclass, Cheryl will use the chat box. I'll make sure that, you know, I'm in direct contact. She can also message me as well while we're live. So if anything is, if she's getting lost or anything, or people, because people now know not to speak over each other.
And that's been a captain that can go, woo.
So it's like just knowing that. It's like, if too many, like, see if you're on a, if you're, I don't know if, let me talk about it from a coach perspective. If you're hosting a big Zoom live, right, and you host loads of events online, and you are used to everybody being like, oh, ha, 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 and this happened, and that happened, and this happened, and you're like, blah, blah, blah. You know, it's not that that can't happen. It's just, because you don't want to take that element, that's where it's stressful, right? And this is where people go, oh, F that, I'm not doing that because that's too much. I mean, that's going to take away. But yes, it does initially, but then what you're wanting to do is bring that experience back in for everybody. And it just takes a lot of focused work. So for me, I was like, we can't all be talking at the same time. So I had to really up my hosting skills. I had to be very hyper vigilant. If we were having a laugh, it would be very clear we were having a laugh about something that Cheryl was included in. And then when we were talking, people will take their individual time. We'll take a pause.
They've been bad. That have been.
Yeah, and it's just about, I mean, but you as the host, it's up to you to really create that understanding, because as soon as people started to realise, Tina, Desiree, all of them, Lisa, have came to you and been like, how can you lip read? They've been like, how do you do that? Because I'm trying to lip read. Do you know what I mean? So we're really trying to see it from a profoundly deaf person's perspective. And it's like, even if, not to cut in with this, right, but even if we're talking about race and all the things that are taboo, it's so easy to become defensive when you're like, well, I'm not that, I'm not this, I'm not that. But it's just about, it's not, you don't need to be defensive. You just need to take a step back, and you just need to be curious and ask yourself some questions and want to see it from the other person's perspective. That's all you need to do. You don't need to be defensive. A lot of people have been defensive with you, let's be honest. People in terms of race as well, it's something I have never spoke about bar one time, because it's very scary for me to even establish where I fall in that category, because I'm mixed. So you know what I'm saying? You don't need to be defensive. You just need to basically be willing to have a conversation and be willing to see it just for a second from someone else's perspective. So what we did as a community is we kind of tried to live that way a wee bit. So we would try to live as if we were profoundly deaf. So we would be lip reading. Like, you had a great exercise, which I just thought was honestly next level. It was genius. And I don't know how to say it right.
I'm going to do a masterclass.
Oh, are you?
So I'll be doing that challenge on a masterclass.
Well, I'll be there to support you if you need anything.
Thank you to get a date organised.
So do you want to share what the exercise was, or was it a surprise? Because I just think that was like genius.
I just think if you share, then maybe people like to come. Or maybe not want to come.
Or maybe try and copy. Don't copy, kid, no. No, but it's just basically, the concept is, just without telling you what it is, it's basically so you can have a human experience of what it's like for someone who's profoundly deaf to be in a situation where a lot of information is happening, and you've not got the same capability to pick up at the speed that it's been delivered. So it really it just shifts your perspective. Because the thing is, I always say this, whether I'm teaching voice or I'm teaching empowerment or public speaking, a lot of people will hide behind terminology. And I know that I can be, maybe this isn't maybe it's making me unpopular to say this, right? But I don't care. It's the truth. People are so quick to jump on trends. They're so quick to hide behind qualifications, because it gives them status, which then equates to identity. I don't connect my identity to a thing. I am who I am. That's it. Like, I don't hide behind my masters. That's not who I am. It's an experience I had. My life experience trumps that every day. So a lot of people will they'll accumulate collect so many qualifications. I don't know why I'm dancing like that, but I feel like that's what they're like. They're like demons collecting click, click, click. And then that's why they're never satisfied. Do you ever meet somebody who's like, I've got 92 qualifications and 50 million things, but you know, next week I'm going to do another qualification and I'm going to get my qualification here, because you're not satisfied, because you still don't know what your identity is, and you're never going to be satisfied. And that's where it really triggers people. Because see, at the end of the day, I don't mention I've got a master's unless I really need to. Unless I need to establish that I've already got that. Because as soon as you say life experience, or that you're just doing something because you're just so talented at it, or it's your passion, folk are like, well, what entitles you to do that? Well, since you've asked, here. But I'm not hiding behind anything. I don't hide behind terminology. And logic isn't enough. Theory isn't enough. And this is basically why I know that I'm niche, is because when I'm coaching you into the experience, I'm coaching you into the skill set, I'm teaching you how to. Someone called me like the how-to person. I'm not just going step 1 to step 5, go and do it. Oh, you've not achieved it, that's because you're lazy. No, I'm giving you I am literally holding you by the hand, and I'm saying, this is the theory and this is the human experience. This is how you physicalize it. And that's what makes me different, because then I'm basically coaching people to be independent. I don't want you to need me. You can want to be around me and join, like some people are like, I want to do that program, I want to move on to this. But I don't want you to need me. I don't want to withhold the magic. I want you to be able to stand up. For instance, if it's public speaking, and instead of me being like, don't use too many gestures, don't put your back to the audience, I mean, yada, yada, yada. Is that really going to help you when you're doing a TED Talk? No, it's not. When you're doing a TED Talk or an interview, it's you and that audience. It's you and that person. So what have you got to rely on? Theory? No. You've got experience, muscle memory. It's like someone going to the gym. You wouldn't bounce onto a squat rack and just be like, load them up, lads. You'd be like, let me build up my muscle. So it's memory muscle. So if I was to throw Cheryl on stage, she would have things to rely on, muscle memory. She would have skill set. She would have a variety of a tool belt to choose from. The audience is difficult. She would know exactly what to do. She would split them into 3 sections. And I'm not going to tell you the rest of my secrets, but that's it. You know, she would have tangible entities to utilise. It wouldn't just be, oh, what was that worksheet saying again on section 6? It's not going to help you. And at the end of the day, if that triggers people, it triggers people. But that's what makes me different, is I will give you the how-to. And that's ultimately what Cheryl's doing when it comes to accessibility. That's why she's so passionate, is because she's trying to get on the floor with you. And it's not to say you're on the floor, but you kind of are when you don't know. When something's new to you, you're kind of lost. And she's trying to like sit on the floor with you and go, right, this is how I feel. This is what you probably want everybody to feel. And this is how we're going to get there. And all you really need to do is listen and ask questions. It's literally all you need to do.
And you know, you've inspired me. I think it's time for me to tell my story now. Right, here I go. It's something I've never told anybody.
Oh my gosh. Should I grab the wine?
No, what she said with that before about the identity. Now I'm going to be honest. When I was younger, I didn't think about identity. I just thought I was doing with everybody else, but I know I'm different because I've lost my hearing. But the older I got, I knew it gets harder because they have responsibility, they've got no own independence. It gets harder and harder because people are not aware. And I've had the negative experience in the business because of my identity. I'm there, but what's the word for it? There are so many
facets. You're not. So yeah, we had that conversation in Costa when I said you might be deaf, but that's not all you are.
Yeah, because I don't want people, I really want to tell people that I may be deaf, but I'm Daryl. I'm Daryl, who ain't there, but I'm living the way I want to live and how I run my business. So, and I don't want anybody to think that she's there. But I've got more, there's more to me than just being there.
More to
I
offer.
offer so much, and next day I've got my passion. And I tell you, I'm going to be honest here, I'm split in between two. I'm in the hearing world, I'm in the deaf world.
Mhm.
But I think I'm more in the hearing world because I've got hearing friends,
Mhm.
I've got a deaf son and a hearing daughter. So I'm trying to meet them as much as I can because it's not fair on my daughter if I don't get involved in the hearing community. I
Mhm.
mean, I talk to all the mums
Mhm.
and nothing and stuff like that. So that's why this is me, this is Gerald. I'm a mum of two. I've got a deaf son, I've got a hearing daughter. I get that all the time. There's no
Mhm.
captions or people know I'm deaf people.
Mhm.
I get really upset
Mhm.
because it's something I really want to learn and it's something I want to be included.
Mhm.
So I have so many triggers.
But that, see, just sorry to interrupt, but see, that's just as simple as it is, right? And it's not simple, but let's just rewind to what you've just said. It's because she wants to be included. That's as simple as it is. So if you are taking offence, it's someone saying, listen, there's no captions, or I think captions should be included, and your first instinct is defend yourself and your brand. You need to take a step back and go, why am I so defensive? It's because I'm not doing it. And I feel like she's called me on something without really calling me on it. Because at the end of the day, it's not coming from somewhere angry and frustrated and like, you're not doing this. It's coming from a place of, I've been so not included and ostracised my whole life. And I want to now be an advocate for people like me, to now include everyone. And I also just want
And
to...
it's the business that I wanted to grow.
Mm-hmm. But the thing you said about, which I feel you've been vulnerable, so I feel like I should say this, which I'm terrified to say this specifically publicly, because anything that relates to race, I just worry that I'm going to get a lot of backlash about it. And I'm not even saying anything wrong. I'm just trying to speak my truth. But when we were discussing it and you were trying to figure out how you felt in between two worlds, and I said, right, look, I'm going to explain something to you, and I've never said it before. But that's how I've felt my whole life in Scotland. And I don't think it's anything to do with Scotland. I love Scotland, but it's just my experience has been living here. Yeah. I'm mixed race. I'm half Nigerian, half Scottish. Don't have a relationship with my dad anymore. Don't have connections to my grandparents, so therefore my culture. So for me, I've always tried to be more, like, I've tried to, as a people pleaser, just fit in. And being mixed race, you just don't, it's almost sometimes like you don't belong, or you don't have an identity, and you're trying to be more of this or less of that, and more of that and less of this to fit into each community. And in actual fact, I am actually exist. I exist as a mixed race person. And if that makes you uncomfortable, then that's work you need to do. If that makes me uncomfortable, that's work I need to do. But I can't keep trying to morph into different people just to be accepted. I'm mixed race and I exist. Just like Cheryl is profoundly deaf, which you can't take away her experience of being deaf,
And
but she's also
what
hearing.
did actually go on about being people pleaser? Like when I'm in a group, I try to please everybody and I let them talk. Am I understanding them? No. I just let them keep talking and I'm standing there going,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't have the confidence to tell them. I don't know what it's doing because
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to please them.
Mm-hmm.
So hot the feeling.
Exactly. It's just like, and I'm sure people listening are going to maybe be like, I feel like heartbroken, or
I know.
they might be like,
Sorry.
I didn't. Well, that's like, you don't even need to apologise, because if we haven't, this is what I explained to you as well. If you don't take the time to explain to someone, then you can't expect them to know what you're thinking.
Exactly.
So
You're right.
us going, listen, I hope you don't mind, I'm not being rude, but you're talking so fast. Because hearing people do all the time, that people with different accents, if someone's going on and on and on and on, someone will be like, I'm sorry, I don't know what you said. I don't know how many people have said that to me. So, like, why is it wrong for you to say, listen, can you just slow down a little bit? Just go back to what we were saying there. I lost you at this bit. You're not saying anything. There's nothing confrontational about that. So there's no need for someone to be defensive. So you keep your dignity, you keep your class, you don't feel that you've given anything away. You just feel like you've asked a question because you're really curious to what this person has got to say. So you're like, listen, just really want to give you my full attention. what was that you said there? I got you to there. You do it with me all the time now. She's no shy with me. She'll be like, rewind. And I'll be like, well, where did you I'm trying to 10 people in the class and I'm like, where did you listen?
Because I'm so excited to be part of your tribe. It's amazing. I mean,
you're such a good part of it though. You teach us as well. It's so great. It's so great. And I think I felt a bit embarrassed coming on because I was like, I'm not doing anything great. I think that's why I was nervous, because I was like, don't glorify what I'm doing because I'm not doing anything great. But I totally get what you mean now. I think it's important because so many people have messaged me listen, I don't want to bother you, but how are you? Or Cheryl's coming to my event. How can I make this more accessible? And on one side, I'm like, do the research, do the work. But on the other side, I'm like, here's some points that I thought were really important, because you can't always put it down to the person to bring along their equipment. Like Cheryl, for official exclusive events I'm doing where I'm taking you to a venue and it's quite fancy, Cheryl had a
microphone.
Yep, a microphone, but it was a piece of apparatus that was just different than I'd
It's a Bluetooth that goes through the microphone plant.
Yeah, so...
And it cuts out the background as well.
So we had a really good process and structure, and with her, again, you need to ask just out of respect, right? Because maybe not everyone who's profoundly deaf isn't the same.
No.
They're just not the same.
And not only that, so not everybody's profoundly deaf. Some people might be mild, very hearing. Everybody's deaf. We have the right to tell them what we need, and please don't be afraid to ask. This is what annoys me when I join so many bands. When I say I'm deaf, some respond would say, okay, I would like you to ask, oh, how can I help you? And then that's where I tell you, and that's how to make things so much smooth and easier. And I don't want to make the person nervous.
Because you don't, again, it's about everybody being comfortable, and you don't want to just go, hi everybody, just before we sit down, this person's profoundly deaf. You need to have a conversation with them to be like, what's going to be the best way forward for you to feel that you're part of this? And for Cheryl, she was like, see, before you start, can you just do a tiny intro and welcome to why I need this to be accessible in a way? And I was nervous, obviously, because straight away you're going to make people feel uncomfortable. And I say that, I know that's scary to say that, right? But you're going to make people feel uncomfortable straight away, because instantly people are like, what do I need to do? And the whole point of this event is that people then can only focus on themselves, and straight away we're going, you need to think about other people. And it's not that. It's doing it in a way that's going to serve your audience and members and experience the best way. And ultimately, it's bespoke. It's something you need to customise. And see, in time, you'll realise this is really not that major an effort. Once you actually do the initial work, I couldn't imagine not being accessible now. It's just not something I would fathom, but it's because you were just so interested in what I'd done. I had to do it pronto. So I had to put a lot of focus and intensive time into it. But yeah, I just think it's just something that once you start doing it, you realise how ignorant you've been. And it doesn't mean you're a bad person. When I say that, ignorant has got these connotations of negativity, right? Ignorant is just you. How would you know? How would you actually know?
And you've actually spot on there. Like for me, for example, I've started to put picture description on my Instagram post, because I'm thinking, if I want to be more accessible to the deaf community, but I'm going to be more accessible to the hearing community, I'm going to be more accessible to people who have sight problems. Yeah, I'm scared to do what you know there, but that's the truth.
It's language is important, but again, what we see the word scared, when we're saying scared, right, we use it lightly. We're being honest, we're scared, we're nervous, we're tentative of what the language we use, but it's not an excuse to not do it or not say it or not talk about this, because this is a conversation we have to have, which you'll hear a lot in topics, discussions around race. It's not enough to just be like, oh, it makes me uncomfortable, so I'm not going to say it because I don't want to say the wrong thing. You can't say anything these days. Well, you can say a lot of things. People are out here spouting a lot with their Yeti mics on podcasts. Don't get me started. But so it's about it's about understanding that you feel uncomfortable and dismantling why you're uncomfortable and saying, look, I don't know if I'm going to say the right thing, but let me have this conversation, and then you can make progress that way. We just need to be willing to listen to each other a little bit more. Everybody out here is trying to be some kind of expert in absolutely everything. Either someone's an expert or someone's a sheep. And I think, I mean, how much have I been through with narcissism? I feel like I'm the queen of understanding narcissistic abuse, being a survivor. But I would never say I am an expert, right? Because nobody's an expert. We're all learning. And if someone really vibes with your experience, or like someone's like, Cheryl, oh my God, until I found you, I just felt so alone. Don't put Cheryl on a pedestal. You're inspired by her, you aspire to be like her. But when you put someone on a pedestal, you're subconsciously telling yourself that you're never going to obtain that they've somehow got some better powers or skill set or opportunities than you, and it keeps you stuck in procrastination, and that's why nothing gets done. So it's just about moving forward. You can't, whip yourself because you didn't know something. You can't know everything. If you've not been around people who are of different race or profoundly deaf or have different disabilities, then you're not going to know. My cousin is Down syndrome. That's normal for me. I grew up with her. She's absolutely amazing. She's spot on. She teaches me. That was normal for me. But I get that might not be normal for other people, because you might not have been around that growing up.
Yep, and yeah, that's just true. And yeah, the story I was mentioning earlier, I'm going to do that. I might not be the best person for the BSL community, which is pretty dynamic, because I don't think I rely on lip reading.
Mm-hmm.
So anything I'm talking about, it might be lip reading, needing equipment, and if anybody wants to learn more about BSL or learn more, you'll be better at someone who is BSL, not me, because I don't want to be giving information that I don't 100% know.
Or live by.
So I'm Cheryl. I lucky. I try nothing with my coconut plan. So I'm different, and that is why I'm creating my own community for the people who want to follow me for who I am.
For the people who are blended, if you're in between two worlds, then that's your person.
Yeah, because it's just for concentrating.
Because they exist. They exist. You know what I'm saying? You don't need to just be deaf or hearing.
No.
There's people who are blended in between.
Exactly.
And that's it.
Yeah. And do you think I did mention to people what to us did not say about their people? Going to keep back?
Well, it's just how you present the information.
Okay. It's the wrong word to use, and they're offending people.
What's the word?
Deaf and dumb.
Right, well, I don't see how that's wrong to mention if it's something you feel.
Please don't say that. I've had two people say that to me.
Recently?
The business is far now.
I mean, it's obviously backwards again. See, what helps me, right, is if you can't physically, because it's fine logically and theoretically saying you understand. That doesn't mean that you understand from your chest, from your gut, from your soul. Do you know when you're hurt? Like, let me just do this exercise, right? See, think about a time when someone has done something or said something and you have felt insulted to your core. You felt like you want the ground to swallow you up. You felt like you don't belong. You've been embarrassed. You know that you have been treated badly, but you don't have the confidence to say anything because you feel so unworthy, and you flee into the shadows, basically. It's like, imagine that time, feel it in your body, feel the shame rip through you. That's exactly how she is feeling in her own experience. And just because you don't live it doesn't take away that validation for her. Don't invalidate her experience. Just like that happening to you, whatever that person did, say, or done to you in that moment that you just don't think people would believe, it doesn't take away that it happened to you, that it hurt you. So it's about you taking what someone is saying and going, listen, I can't imagine what that's like because I don't have that debilitating me. However, I can relate it to something that I've been through. Do you know what I mean?
And also when he's spoken about the reaction response, I started to do that. A
I've
lot of deaf
noticed.
people don't like the word hearing impairment.
Okay.
So I actually doesn't bother me because it is the worst that they've used for a while, like schools and stuff, they call it hearing impairment. And it's not their fault because it
Because it
don't
describes.
sound it's the term that they use to explain the skills and stuff, but they're not doing it to people offensively. So that is why my business is I'm here to support you, I'm here to help you how like hearing impairment is what everybody knew, audiology, everything. But I just want to you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I don't
totally.
react to it, I respond by
But
helping.
it's also subjective. What's going to insult you and make you feel uncomfortable is subjective. It's entirely personal. So again, it's just about having the conversation. Cheryl's here. She's so willing to have open conversations. What's insulting to her and what she's passionate about is going to be different for you, but she's open for you to be an ear for you, literally no pun intended, an ear for you to be like, the reason why hearing impairment insults me as a deaf person, that's the conversation that needs to take place. It's not that this is right and this is wrong. Who's to say that anything's right or wrong? If it upsets you, there's a reason, whether it's like it was with Cheryl, it was linked to childhood trauma. And I had to really work intensely with Cheryl to help her really take breaths and step back and analyse and stop invalidating her experience. It was as if she was trying to it's the vulnerable child. It's a vulnerable child and it comes out and it's like, listen to me, listen to me. And it comes out emotional, and it's not that we're trying to be aggressive or confrontational. It's just a trigger. And understanding that, she was able to take a step back, and every time she was confronted with that situation, she would message me or she would call me, and I would go, right, okay, where are we feeling this? What are we? And we'd work our way back. And then eventually she'd be like, I'm not even stressed about that anymore. I now know how to handle this. You know, you just need a bit of
Definitely.
support. That's all. That's all. Just a bit of support.
Yeah. And then, funny enough, when I had that interview from in America, that dad asked me, how do you want me to be who you are?
Mm-hmm.
You want me to profoundly do or do
Mm-hmm.
or that or that? That was the first time I ever been asked
Just out
an
of
interview.
respect.
And I did this. That's fine. The other was this. Blah, 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 blah. So I thought that was nice to be asked because it's an interview.
Mm-hmm.
But it didn't really bother me, but it looks like it does bother other people.
Which is also fine. And it's just about having a conversation about the language, because again, it's just understanding that everybody is different.
Yeah.
And if you can just ask someone, listen, I just really want you to be, I say this to my guests all the time. My purpose with this podcast is that you also have a chance to talk about something you're really passionate about under the umbrella of empowerment. However, you need to also feel safe. So how would you like me to introduce you? Would you like to introduce yourself? And blah, blah, blah. It's just out of respect. That's all it is. And it just comes out of respect and valuing each other and valuing yourself.
Yeah, I'm just looking at all the questions. I think we've covered everything. And it's amazing. That is why I wanted to bring Emma, because she is she's the one supporting me and being in a child and helping me to focus. I mean, I even tell my mum about you.
No.
Like,
Don't, I'm too
my mum,
emotional today. I'm like, I'm gonna cry. I'm like, that's off camera.
I think my mum be looking forward to that podcast. I don't know if I can do a business without all that, because it's so important in your business to have someone telling you, like, empowerment, like, react, respond, because you want to do the business in the right way and you want to be a professional as well.
I know, and I know Cheryl has spoke to me about speaking about what I do more, because I'm very much word of mouth, and it's something I need to work on, is being able to say I am the best at what I do and here is what I do. But I've been working really tirelessly in the background. I'm also relocating to Dubai this year. I'll be between the UK and Dubai, and ultimately the reason I am here to help people is because for me it all comes down to experience. It becomes down to me simplifying these core elements. People think they can go to Asda and buy confidence off a shelf, right? They want to get closure from their ex. It's never going to happen. Anything to do with public speaking, the voice, showing up for yourself, your brand, empowering yourself to your core, actual having strong foundations and not just having longevity with your empowerment, not just short bursts of it and then after 2 days you're on the floor again. It's having the tools, being equipped with the tools to deal with all these elements and slowly but surely build a strong AF life, mindset and business. Someone labelled me, you're more businessy. That is someone else's projection of me. I am one of the most spiritual people. I grew up with Motown music and soul music and gospel, do you know what I mean? Like, I'm very, very soulful and spiritual, but just because I don't scream about it doesn't mean I'm not spiritual. I believe we are spiritual beings having a human experience, right? And if I believe that, then I also believe that the power of the mind. So when someone is saying that they want to empower their life, when I help them do that, of course they're going to look at what they're doing and go, I don't want to work for someone, I want to work for myself, or I'm not happy in that job. So it does have a lot of business elements. Folk do want to know how I've taken what I do in person, tangible entities, and then put it online. They want to know the hosting systems I've used. They want to know about podcasting. They want to know about how I've done this because I've shared it so publicly. So there's no shame in that. Do you know what I mean? And what I'm trying to say is, through making my work very accessible, I've created enough tier systems to make it financially accessible. So you can join group programs, memberships, courses, recorded webinars, courses. You can attend events, retreats. You can work with me one-on-one. To be honest, I take applications now for my one-to-ones because it's a lot of time and investment that goes into that. So I need to make sure we're the right fit. So, and also my availability can be tight. So it's only for really serious people who are ready to really level up. And yeah, so there's so much that you could join. And literally, Cheryl's saying she's part of the Fierce Tribe programme, which is also going to be open up as a membership as well. So Cheryl's got access to the full year's programme. It comes in a one module dropped every 2 months because they're so packed. And the modules are so interactive. It's like, I invested so much money and time in creating this hosting system, utilising this hosting system that would give you, it's like an interactive experience. So although you're seeing me every single day and on the group, it's like I'm with you in your coaching experiences, as if you're getting a one-to-one with me. That's how interactive it is. So there is so many different elements that you can do. Money really should not be an excuse, and time shouldn't be an excuse. At the end of the day, I was broke AF and I found a way to do it because I found someone who had enough. To be honest, most of this has been me, I'm not going to lie. Like, I did just create as I went. But you do need to learn from people. You need support. And so many people will get different coaches and all that. I'm not really about that life. If you vibe with me and you want to learn, then just invest into it. There's so many different tiers that choose something that's so comfortable for you until such times as you're like, I need to make this next step in order for me to achieve this. So yeah, I just think information should be as accessible as possible, but you need to also value your knowledge, you know?
Definitely. Yeah, that actually was true. And I'm so glad to spoken out my story here for them because I need to move forward to my business to improve who I am. So let's just sum it up then. I'm Cheryl. I'm profoundly deaf. I love you. I'm your curriculum plan. I'm here to help businesses to be more accessible for hearing loss, which means anybody that lost the hearing. And just to because that is changing at a time that we are accessible for all disabilities, and how amazing would that be? Just without any leaving people out, because it affects their mental health, and it does affect my mental health growing up. Going to work, trying to start my business, but I'll be honest with you, starting up my business, I have been feeling like, oh, I can't go on at that. No, I can't go on at that. But I stopped that after thinking I am going to do something about it. So, yeah. Do you have any questions for me?
No, honestly, I feel like I've questioned you for about 6 months.
No, just in case you have anybody that, if anybody, what do you think if people are thinking what to me?
I think we've covered it, but what I would say is, I mean, is this going to be on YouTube?
Yeah.
Right. So what I would say is, if you have any questions for me around empowerment, public speaking, basically stepping into your power, dealing with managing the mind, finding your voice, pain to power, so trauma to transformation, dating and relationships, dating self as well. People pleasing is a big one that everyone comes to me for, and confidence and fulfillment, right? You tell me below, it could be to do with a narcissistic ex, anything. You give me the questions below this video, or tag me at EMMA OCHIA, OCHIA_, in this, and I will answer it for you, and we'll create that content for you. And the same for Cheryl. If you've got any questions, make them specific though, to do with accessibility. Get your questions in, and we could maybe start a series. It's about, at the end of the day, it's like what I've done with Cheryl. It's about making it bespoke and customised. There's no point in just us talking about things. You know, we've spoke about what we need to speak about. We've told you the story. We've told you our journey. But you're obviously going to have questions, and it's not very fair of me to just assume that that's how you feel and what you think. So use this interactive experience to actually ask us. People are in my DMs every day telling me really deep things that I don't always get the chance to message everyone back, but I do respond to a lot of people, and they'll just be like, you spoke about narcissism, Emma. It really touched me. That about gaslighting, I didn't even know what gaslighting was, or mirroring, or hoovering, or discarding. I didn't even understand that. I didn't know what being a supply was. These terms. So people will ask you, and then you can then customise your response, so your content is way more direct. You know? You feel me? So I think that's a better way to do it.
Amazing. So yeah, so thank you for coming on, and thank you, Emma, for taking the time out coming to the podcast.
Thank you for
I
having
can't
me.
wait to do more podcasts with you.
Oh, I'm excited.
Amazing. So take
Thank
care,
you.
everybody, and have a lovely day.
Bye.
Bye.